Broken arrow! I'll say again! Broken arrow! Broken arrow!
Confirmed, broken arrow.
Broken arrow confirmed!
Broken arrow?
That means that an American has been overrun, calls in every combat aircraft for support.
My God.
Hello my dearest viewers, thank you for joining me, and today we're going to be looking at Broken Arrow, if it's a game that's still worth buying. So it was released this time 2 months ago with the very exciting release of the Vanguard edition. Personally, myself and many others have been very looking forward to the game, but now we're going to see if it has changed too much from the initial release and if the price tag is still worth it. Now I'd like to quickly start by saying a massive thank you to Synyster, Lucha, Legalyptus, Rosario and the other guys supporting me on Patreon. You guys are legends, I really appreciate your help, as actually I don't make that much money from YouTube. Also you can join me on Discord and I play a lot of my battles with the guys from there too. So, for those who don't know, this game is an RTS real-time strategy, and it is basically one of the best in the industry. Now, this is of course something that we're going to talk about a bit more, whether it is the best or whatever, but in general, you get the modern units, so all of the Su-57s, F-22 Raptors, F-35s, modern and slightly futuristic units, like the T-14 in the game. You are a general, there are 5 generals, and you command sort of a battalion-ish sized group of men together with your teammates to try and take the field. You need to capture points on the map and keep microing the shit out of your units because there is a lot to do. It was one of the most anticipated and wishlisted games on Steam as of 2025 and was released on the 16th of June, aka 2 months ago today of the release. It features a vast arsenal of an endless amount of units from Russia and America currently, although there will be plans to expand it. Then you can customize the decks, aka the battle groups, with a huge array of combinations and units that you can field into the battle. On the surface it is a fantastic game with a lot of promise, and the things that you compare it to are things like Warner, Ruse and Steel Division. That's the main competition of the game and the genre that we're in. It was originally priced at $50, but I think myself and I reckon quite a lot of people went for the Vanguard edition, which only gave it to you 3 days earlier, but that cost you, set you back by an extra tenner, so $60 roughly. So that's a little introduction to the background of the game. Now the question that we're posing today, is it still worth buying? So let's take a closer look. So roughly 2 months ago, myself and another YouTuber called Beagle, we did a review, a very long and comprehensive review about this game, about our initial opinions, and that was a week after launch. And let's be honest, I think overall we both got pretty excited and gave it an overwhelming positive review. But when we look at Steam, the picture doesn't quite add up to what we've been saying, so let's go into that a little bit more. I mean, pros, there are many. I mean, look how beautiful it is. Look at this little, the flares, the explosions, everything just looks absolutely fantastic, to be fair. So, yeah, the graphics is definitely a big plus. What else do we have good about this game? Well, mechanics. I've tried to play quite a lot of RTSs, etc., but they just don't even come close. This is the closest you'll get to modern warfare RTS playing. I think, you know, if you guys know, I'm a serving military officer in the British Armed Forces, and I just absolutely love it. Like, the things that are supposed to feel real, I think they do feel pretty realistic. Especially, I mean, they reflect reality pretty well too, and that is important. For example, tanks have kinetic and heat protection. You know, that those are two very different things, and the way that munitions interact with vehicles and other items do vary depending on how the vehicle is built, the munitions used, etc. And that is reflected, as well as the different types of hits that vehicles can take, the mechanics, the trajectories of, for example, the Javelin. It fires in its normal top attack mode, and you can also direct fire it, which is also an accurate reflection. So plenty of really good stuff there. What else have we got? Well, as already mentioned, we've got an endless amount of fantastic, really detailed, really amazing units with customization, so you can choose its armament sometimes, which is just fantastic. Like, for example, the Typhoon VDV, one of my favorite units for the Lima special, is the fact that you can stick, you know, it can just be a normal transport truck with a 50 cal on top. You can actually put automatic grenade launchers, or you can in fact select a 30mm cannon. And, you know, obviously you balance the price, and building decks is actually half of the fun. So yeah, massive ticks overall there. The maps themselves as well. I'm currently doing a poll. You can check it out on my Discord. Link below. Where we're going to try and see what the best maps are. But overall, I actually think the variety of the maps is really good. And it helps that they're all based off real locations, which is definitely something I really love. A lot of map designers force maps into being symmetrical and balanced and all that, but it just takes away from the authenticity. So yeah, this is all things that the game has really got going for it. And it is, honestly, the core games themselves, the core game itself is fantastic and the best I have played in my life. Yeah, potentially that is a strong claim, but you know what? The core game itself is just absolutely phenomenal. Now, the flaws. Now I'm going to put some calmer music on because we need to slow down a little bit here, and unfortunately flaws, there are a few, and you know what the flaws themselves are? I don't think they're mainly to do with the game. There's obviously a few tiny bits of balancing issues here and there, but let's be real, the majority and the large bulk of the flaws come from the fact that the game is very much a broken arrow game. You know, it breaks my heart to say this because I actually really love this game. I want it to do so well. I mean, Christ, I've got an entire YouTube channel dedicated to it. You know, I would love to say that it's perfect, it works great and whatever, but that's unfortunately just not the case. So let's talk about the biggest problem of all: dropouts. People dropping out of multiplayer battles. So the game works with a 5v5, okay, so 10 players, and even though they, you know, we obviously understand that, you know, people have technical problems, the servers might be, I don't know, kicking people off, or we know that Russia, for example, has got VPN and connectivity issues. So, you know, we understand, I think the player base understands that some problems are just inevitable and unavoidable. However, when you play 10 games and 9 of them are either a 4v5, a 5v4 or worse, with dropouts, with players unpunished for simply choosing to be, you know, they'll have a bad opener, they'll decide to do a paradrop at the start, it gets shot down and they're like, oh, well that didn't work, cool, I'm off, see ya. And God, it's painful, God, it's so heartbreaking and frustrating when people do that, because it's very, I've seen it done before, but it's very difficult to win as a 4. In fact, nearly impossible. You do get extra income to compensate, but that's just not enough to compensate for the sheer amount of extra micro and stuff you have to do. So, the additional problem from that is the fact that there isn't a simple surrender button. And I know people are saying the devs are working their hardest to do what they can, but Christ, it's been 2 months, they've made an absolute fortune from the initial sales and pre-orders. Remember, this game costs as much as a AAA title, even though, you know, in its current state, it definitely isn't. This could be a beta in its current state due to the huge issues of that it has. And yeah, so there isn't a simple surrender button. I'm not a coder, but like, really, how hard can it be? You know, the military is very slow at doing things, but guys, you're doing it for money, right? You want the game to succeed, let's step it up. How hard can it be? Right, so yeah, just a simple surrender button with a simple vote system, and then a simple punishment. So if you desert 1 game, no problem. Desert 2 games, you get a warning. 3 games, you're on an hour ban, and scale it up, just like CSGO used to have. Again, how hard can that be? How long could that take to do? And again, with all the money that they're making off sales, just hire some temporary programmers to help you. Like, again, how hard is that? This is the mega frustrating part of an otherwise fantastic game, is that these simple things aren't being done. Or they say they're being done, but it's been 2 months since the game's been released, and to me, that's very, piss poor. To be honest, that's probably the best way to summarize the performance of the devs post-release. Harsh, and you guys might disagree, but whatever, you know, that's my opinion. So let me know in the comments if you think there's any justification for, the recent terrible, absolutely disastrous 1.09 update or anything else. Further issues, they include, so still there is some server stability, and there's been a few games where you join and it just breaks, either disconnects you, kicks you off, or it just says that your 5 is ready to go but the other 5 are not ready to go, and it still makes you wait 1 entire minute just to tell you that the game has indeed failed, which is so frustrating. Actually, it's more like 2 minutes because you get 60 seconds for map planning, and then the pre-deployment phase as well. So just 2 minutes of time sitting around waiting for it to confirm that it is indeed broken. Mega frustrating. Another huge issue are cheaters, and not just like a little bit of cheating. There's blatant stuff going on, and I know they're trying their hardest to ban people, but it's just still there. There isn't like again, CSGO is a good comparison. There isn't a VAC ban system, and it desperately needs one. Now, I understand that this problem is going to be a harder and more technical one to fix. How to find cheaters and how to serve server stability. And in all fairness, the blatant cheating does seem to be like cracked down on pretty well recently. I haven't, in the first month, I think it was very obvious there was a lot of it, and in the past couple of weeks, I have noticed a reduction. So one sort of con that has been improved, in all fairness. So yeah, there we go. They are working on the bigger issues too, but they don't bug me anywhere near as much as the super simple, easy fixes not being done. And I get a lot of comments trying to justify it or trying to say that stop being negative about the game, but you don't understand. The thing is, criticism does, inspire change. If people aren't aware of the issues, if you don't publish them, make videos about them, or complain in other ways, nothing is going to get done. So you know what, actually, you are welcome. You doubters and critics, you are welcome for me criticizing the flaws of the game. Now, I know there's also balance complaints, and you know what, I think a lot of that just comes from Reddit, because to be honest, from what I've seen, the balance is pretty spot on. I think I'll reference the statistics now. So statistically, I think it's 51% Russia, 49% America for wins overall. That is as close as you can get to 50-50 without it seeming rigged, right? That is pretty solid. So I don't think there's too many balance issues there. It's just people moaning on Reddit that Russia's overpowered, even though it really isn't. I mean, the prices of the units I think is pretty good, despite the update. And I think overall the balance is solid. Like, the gameplay itself, when it works, is fantastic. It's such a good game to play when it works. But getting Broken Arrow to be unbroken is sometimes a struggle. So yeah, those are the criticisms and the cons that I have for the game. So we'll go on to the conclusion. Well, at the start of the video, I asked a question, and that question is that game still worth buying? And you know what? Despite all the flaws that they do promise to fix, in all fairness, yeah, you know what? I think I'd say wait for a discount. So, like, yes, the answer is absolutely yes, but do wait for a discount. The flaws are just incredibly frustrating and off-putting, especially to new players who aren't as passionate about this game as some others, like me, for example, right? So, yeah, do that. Wait for a discount, or wait at least for it to be absolutely patched up and fixed, which is something that is urgently required and hopefully will come soon. Until then, just, don't go through the pain of watching endless games disconnect. Don't do that to yourself. It is a fantastic game. The potential is huge. I can't actually wait for the units that were promised but aren't in the game, like F-14, the Navy SEALs, FSB for Russia, all those. Once they come into the game, it's going to be such a fantastic addition. And, the DLCs, we're going to get China, Germany. There's actually a secret clip of German units, which I'm going to put up now. So yeah, check it out, Leopards. So we know that other foreign units are already in the game. just, you know, not available in the normal play, but on multiplayer and missions. So scenarios, you can get them too. So the things are there for expansion and for the future. I hope they don't overprice the DLCs, because I mean, already I've already spent $60, 50 quid on this game, you know? Like, they are going to be milking it, I'm sure. That is the modern model of game developers and their sales. And that's not going to go anywhere anytime soon, so definitely wait for that discount, okay? So, yeah, the short answer is yes. Like I said, I go into it a lot more with Beagle, you know, a much bigger channel than mine. He's got like 60, 80,000, I can't remember, but yeah, he's doing really well. So, me and him have a really good discussion. Please feel free to check it out, where we actually talk about, to be honest, the best parts of the game. But overall, the mechanics are fantastic, it looks great, it feels great to play, and most importantly, it's got a huge amount of replayability, and it's got that little addictive nature to it. You know, once you finish a battle, you're gagging to play another one, you know? So, yeah, absolutely. I still do love it, and I still do want to recommend it to people. I don't want anyone to be put off by the negativity that I complain, but you know, it comes from a good place, a place of caring, and a place of passion. So yeah, that is my thoughts on the game 2 months post-release. I hope you enjoy my opinions, or at least enjoy my good and bad points. You know, there's got to be something that you agree with. You feel free to comment if you disagree. I absolutely welcome constructive criticism by all means. So thank you guys so much for watching. I've had a lot of fun making this video, so please do help me out with a comment and a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. So as always, a massive thank you to my patrons and guys on Discord. It's great having you guys supporting me all the way through. I'm Lima, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.